Well, hello everyone. We are going to talk about the new game of business. Now, in order for us to be able to talk about the new game of business, first of all, we need to understand that business is a game. Now, we all have the intuition that business is a game, but actually I want to let you know that not only business is a game, but actually any system that you've ever been a part of in your life is a game. School, and money, and marriage, they're all games. Now, when I say that business is a game, I don't mean that it should be taken lightly. What I mean is that there is a game mechanism designed into business. The people who created the game of business basically set the goals, what winning looks like, what do you lose points for, what do you gain points for, and how do you play the game. But the problem with most of the games that we grew up playing, either the physical ones or the system that we've been a part of, are what we called fear-based games. Our motivation to move forward in the game is based on fear. Do you know any kids who don't like to go to school? Do you know? But they still go? Why? Do you know people that are working in the same company for like 20 or 30 years, but are still not fully expressing themselves? Why? Those are all mechanisms that are based on fear, and I think that if we'll go back enough, you remember that at some point you probably played Monopoly, right? Who played Monopoly? Well, how do you win the game of Monopoly? Well, the only way to win the game of Monopoly is by making sure that all the other players are bankrupt. What a powerful life lesson, huh? Now, if it was remaining within the boundaries of the board game, so it's not a big deal. But the problem is that for the past 100 years, we copy-paste that mindset into business, and we grew to think that business is also a game of competition. But I have news for you. You can play business as a competition, but competition is a game for amateurs. If you want to be a leader, you shouldn't be focusing on competition. And I'll explain exactly why. Well, we need to first of all understand what kind of a game business is. Well, business is an endless game. It never ends, right? It goes on and on and on and on for centuries. So how do you win an endless game? It's impossible to win an endless game. And not only that it's an endless game, it's an ever-growing game. Because if you look at the global GDP, according to the World Bank, it grew from about $11 trillion in 1960 to almost $80 trillion nowadays. So if you're focusing on competition, playing a Monopoly zero-sum game, you're stuck somewhere in the 60s, where all the leaders industry are focusing on the extra 7 pies that were generated, new industries and new possibilities and new options and the new money coming in, because it's an ever-expanding game. So maybe life is a competition. So what do you think? What kind of a game is life is? Well, life is actually a time-limited game. You play it, you want to reach whatever goal you set for yourself before the time is up. The only problem is no one tells you when the time is up, right? But again, no one can win you being a better you. It's only you and your goals and what you want to achieve. So losing time and energy competing with other people is bad strategy. Bad business and personal strategy. So when you put the game of business and the game of life together, the only strategy that actually makes sense to play is what is called collaborative quest. So together, we overcome the challenges in life and business, and we all know there are challenges in life and business, so we can achieve great things. And we can help each other, and we can help the planet, hopefully. So how does the new game of business looks like? What do we should focus on? What are the main attributes that makes it so unique? So first of all, it's a disruptive economy. We see more and more changes. We see more and more companies, more and more people, basically disruptive industries and technologies and ideas. I don't know if you know that, but Elon Musk and SpaceX now has the technology to create what they call Earth-to-Earth traveling, where you can go anywhere around the planet in less than 30 minutes. We all already got used to the fact that it's a small village because we can connect with each other through technology, but now we can actually go anywhere in less than 30 minutes. This is crazy. This is really a small village nowadays. Now, I work with tons of different companies around the globe. Everybody would like to be as disruptive, as innovative as SpaceX and Tesla. Do you agree? But not so many are actually willing to do what it takes to become disruptive. And what it really takes is to question the limited beliefs and the status quo in the way we think about business, business structures, competition, business models. All of those has to be questioned and changed before we can come up with the disruptive technologies. So if you still think that competition is a leading strategy, think again. Because what SpaceX and Tesla did, they put all the patents out there so anyone can use it. You know that? That's not a very competitive move to make, but it's a very smart move to make if you're playing the right game. It's also very social. People talked about this here before me. We're living in a very connected world. We are all connected. 40 years ago, it used to be like an old Chinese master saying, right? We are all connected. Now it's a fact. We are all connected. Billions of people are connected. This changed the business paradigm totally because now you first build a community and then you build products and services. Now, if you first build communities, it has nothing to do with competition because the only way to build community is to bring real value and create open and honest conversations with your community, and in return, you get real engagement from them. And companies like Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and all the social media basically allows us to do it. Now, if we're talking about competition, do you think Facebook is winning the game or losing the game? What do you think? Well, it depends. If you'll ask me and my friends and people my age, definitely Facebook is winning the game. If you'll ask my daughter, who is 14, for her, Facebook is not even in the game, right? And trust me, Facebook is really concerned about the fact that they are not in the game. So again, it's not about winning or losing. It's about an endless game of creating value and being relevant. We are also living in the most creative era ever. Technology, social media, globalization really allow us to see and touch even the most creative ideas out there. So on the top of endless pictures of cats and foods on Instagram and Facebook, you can also find the most creative work ever done by people all over the place. Business-wise, arts, poetry, whatever you want. We have the most creative work out there available for anyone to get inspired by. And again, strategy is not about competition, it's about being creative, expressing yourself. Because putting together social media with creativity created companies like Kickstarter, who raised over $1 billion from over 5.7 million people around the globe for only creative ideas. So my advice for you is to take a little Kickstarter test. Do you think that your company can put your product or your service on Kickstarter and get funded by your community? If the answer is no, you should really check into what you're doing wrong. Because no project on Kickstarter can succeed if it's only a bit cheaper than the competition or have just a few more features than the other players in the market. It has to be real innovative and really creative. So take this little test of do I have really creative ideas? Because creative ideas is by being customer-oriented, not by being competitor-oriented. You should really bring real value. Another very strong attribute of the new economy is that it's purpose-driven. And it was talked about this before when Ian talked about the green world, right? So this is the green world, where we're actually purpose-driven. Companies are no longer just for profit, they are for benefit. And today, especially the new generation, the Z generation, they're not looking to make the most money. They're looking to have a purpose. They want to work for the purpose-driven companies. And customers want to buy from purpose-driven companies. And investors want to invest in purpose-driven organizations. So being purpose-driven, it's a good business strategy. Here's a great example. This company is called 2 Degrees. And they're manufacturing like health bars and coffee and all kinds of like different goods. And their model is what it's called 1-for-1 model. So whenever you buy one of their products, they feed a hungry child somewhere around the world. And we interviewed the founder for the book that we wrote, and we asked them, Lauren, aren't you concerned that other companies will copy-paste this model and will also offer this to their clients? He said, are you guys crazy? We are looking for other companies to copy-paste that model. Just think about a world that whenever you buy anything, someone else benefits from it. It's exactly like the same strategy that SpaceX does with putting out the patents, because it's not about me making as much money as possible, it's about creating companies that makes a difference. Of course, I will attract more customers and more good employees and more investors if I'm doing good. So this is a good strategy. And the last attribute that I want to talk about is self-expression, because the new shared economy is about self-expression. When Steve Jobs came with the iPhone, it wasn't because he was trying to compete with Nokia, right? It was an act of self-expression and his love for technology and design. And all the other companies that came after it only created duplications of the original idea. But no one, since the iPhone 3, created a more innovative phone. Do you agree? Maybe a cheaper one, more features, a better camera, but not an innovative idea. Because when you are busy competing, the best you can do is be average. You can have like a nice enough, a good enough product that looks like someone else's product. But if you really want to be creative, you have to come from self-expression. So my advice for you is dance to express and not to impress. Business is not about being number one or winning in the market. It's about using a business as a tool for self-expression and making good in the world. And as Gandhi said, there is enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. The problem with the game of business that we've been taught is that it cannot be won. If any of you went through business school, who here went through business school? At what point did they tell you what the goal of the game is? How do you win the game? Have they told you? All they teach you is you need more. More is a non-biddable game. You can't win in the game of more, but you can definitely win at the game of better. Better solutions, better products, better world to live in, better people, better communication. So I hope you'll take this one and at least a bit start changing the way you play life. Thank you very much.